Hello. We didn't start yet, but if you're here for the historical spaces, hi Andrew. We didn't start yet. We're waiting for Mr. Mott Bombadil to teach us some history. How are you, sir? There you go. How are you, Andrew? How you on?
I'm living the dream. How are you?
Living the dream. I love it. Oh, I love it.
You sound like the guy of Mary Poppins. What's his name? Dick Van Dyke. You sound like Dick Van Dyke when you do a Welsh accent.
I sound Dick Van. Um, Secretary. I think I mistakenly gave you a co-host because it goes to John, right? Dick Van Dyke. That wasn't what I was going for. um, I tried an accent. I said, tell me if this
Uh,
sounds like Dick Van Dyke living the dream.
it's you and me and John Matthews
Okay,
co-host. Yeah. Oh,
perfect.
there is it,
There's John.
John.
John's here.
Yeah.
John is with us. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy? Boy, John, some of the stuff you're writing, oof, it's just good, guys. You gotta go read what John writes. It's so good. The one I read was the one about the babies and the birth certificates. Oof, blew my mind.
Yeah, it's hitting. I'm just trying to help people prepare for before. I mean, tonight, like for instance, there's literally a countdown clock, 8 p.m. tonight, because it's the 6th, so go 50 years back. And this is when the agreement came in with um, Saudi Arabia and America with the fiat currency, and that's ending as of the 8th. And also being D-Day, and then on Sunday they're doing a ceremony. The French macaroon, I call him the French cookie. Uh, he's yeah, he's doing a ceremony. But when they do ceremonies like that, they usually represent some sort of sacrifice, So it's
Oh
just something to be,
no, John. Is
yeah,
that what it
something to be.
means?
Well, it's a sacrificial act. So whether it's the death to something or someone, I mean, once again, Saudi Arabia not re-upping for the first time in 50 years on the FRN, and obviously the oil connection there, it's very telling for our financial system in the direction of things. So just be mindful of CBDCs and how they're going to try and push those.
Yes, sir. So what was the deadline? It's tonight we're looking out for?
Well, tonight the clock will end at 8, but it is because it is the exact timing, if that makes sense. So things are timed out,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
yeah,
And
it's
that means a lot
very
to them, right? The symbology.
well, right, but it's also a activation for another. So when one thing ends, something else starts, and then they have the ceremony for sacrifice, that sort of thing.
Yikes. Doesn't that sound scary, y'all? But hey, what are we gonna do, right? Hey, Peter. How are you, Jenny? We have Francis, Kent, Tommy. We're just waiting for a few people. Mott, are you having trouble connecting? I think you are. But if guys, if you haven't gone to John's page and read some of his articles, oof, just go do that. So interesting, but it's all real stuff. Like you could go to the hospital and ask for your birth certificate. They don't have record of it. They won't give you it anyway. Because I checked and it's true.
Yeah, they have copies of it. Everything is a copy. That's why you hear of the Vatican, or actually, I should say, one part of the Vatican is like not the office of the Pope, but it's the other side, right? It's like where the IMS or the Jesuit part comes into play. That's where the warehouse is of the receipts. Yeah, that's literally True. Like that's where the original titles and deeds and certificates and all of the things.
So they're technically copies that they certify, right? They certify it to make it look real.
Yep. And as certificate, that's what certify is in part of. It's an acronym for certificate of sale because it's all bonded on bonded paper and then through the Bank of International Settlements and then on its way back through the back door of the UN and into the stockyard or the stock exchange.
Like I said, guys, go read it. It's just so interesting and real, historical. Mr. Mott, finally, can you speak to us?
I do hope so. This is the like
Yes.
11. Oh, okay. You can hear me. I'm gonna say my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look at the audience. Francisco, Peter, Jenny, Love, Direct, and everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me because they are really messing with us now.
We got you, Mott. I think we got you.
Thank you. Beautiful. I think we're gonna have a. We're not gonna be too long-winded today. We're just gonna aim at the core of it. I hope that we can explain this with the practical matters of a intelligence service as the most black ops intelligence service ever. And I know that the secretary and you guys will put out all the information, which is a read that is very long. But I hope that we can do this space a little bit different than the usual ones, because I guess that me and John will be able to talk about this. I hope that we get some other speakers. Oh, I see Lindsay. Lindsay, welcome.
Hello, Lindsay. If any,
Come up and grab a mic and give a social call, Lindsay, if you can, so that all the people here can follow you, because you are important. At the things that I will not talk about because they will kill me if I don't. They will not kill me, but they will nuke my accounts if I talk about what you do. Lindsay, please come up so we can give you some credits before while people are logging in. Brian, please come up.
Welcome, Lindsay. Brian, I'm going to send you a mic.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So for all you people that doesn't know Lindsay is, according to me, this is my personal opinion, one of the greatest warriors ever. And anybody who has any doubts about that, after you have logged in, follow Lindsay, ticked in the bell, and all of this that you need to know to follow. Because of the tactics, because of how this works in the real world, with all of this, I have followed Lindsay for a long time. We have talked several times. I jump in every now and then, occasionally, but Lindsay is the true and true warrior of the injection solidarity lottery, and AstraZeneca has lost it. Pfizer will lose it. Fauci is losing it, and we are getting there. And much of that is because of what Lindsay and others are doing. And Lindsay is the spearhead. She is the head of the swine filking, which is like this kind of old warrior concept where you put the great, the unvulnerable, the heroes in the front of a triangular warfare tactic. You put the greatest ones in the front of the triangular shape. They are not alone. They have the backing behind them, but they have to walk in to the valley of death with no hesitation. And believe me, I am a coward to if you compare me to Lindsay. She is a true and true hero. If you are not following Lindsay and you're engaged in the COVID thing and all this, I cannot discuss this too much because every time I do it with the kind of attitude that I have towards that, people tend to run away, or the discussion will just go sideways. What Lindsay is doing is honorable, just as many other peoples are doing. But Lindsay, what she is doing is very, very honorable. And Josie, our dear Josie, which we run these spaces in the remembrance of a great lady, a catalytic lady that has been there from the beginning. So anybody can throw any shit at me or Lindsay and they will fail. And they are failing epically as we speak. And that is a great thing. So Lindsay, please present yourself and what you are doing so the people that are listening can get into what you are doing, because it's not the same thing that we are doing here, but you are a great hero and I admire you from the bottom of my soul.
I love you too, Mott. You crack me up. And I'm not a hero. I'm just a little old country girl who is just trying to save humanity, one person at a time. Any good person, like who is in this room, would do. I was just dealt the assignment, and that's just what I had to take. God put it in my hands, and this is where I am. So what I do, we have learned that, of course, our government's not coming to save us, so we've taken it into our own hands and save ourselves as a community of the vaccine injured. We've been fighting for some of us now, going on 4 years, and my injury is actually 2.5 years old. I am diagnosed, documented, and confirmed by 3 different providers, and I'm actually being tested for DNA integration currently. It's still pending. I don't have those results yet. But we've done a lot of panels and stuff on our own just to get the data out to the public, because the media is not going to tell you this. So we have to get it out to you guys. And we work every day doing this. We meet as a group every day, and we put our brains together, and we have to come together as one, because we're each a big piece of the puzzle to a bigger piece. So what you guys are doing is extremely important, because while we're focusing on how to heal, you guys are giving us the history and the tools to use that we know, so we know where the corruption comes from and how to protect ourselves and educate ourselves from that as well. So you're a hero in my eyes, buddy. I love you.
We Lindsay, we need to get to the younger ones. We
gotta save these kids.
Yeah.
They're after our genes. That's what they're after.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's sort of the CRISPR, the University, Tedros, and so on. And so, I can't talk about this for a long time, but the core of it is that what we are doing and what we will be doing this evening, and talk about the crypto AG, the Gladio, the Five Eyes, and so on, that all connects into what Lindsay and her friends are doing, because they have faced the consequences of that. And that is terrible, and it's pointless, it's non-human, it's sort of genocidal, you could say, and now we're going for it. We just have to shake shake and shake and shake to get the real people, the real persons, the individuals, each and every individual that happens to end up in these spaces and so on, just to listen to us, grab what we are saying, do their own research, make the evaluation, but we will die on this hill, Lindsay. Both you and me, we know it, and that's the fact of it.
Yep,
Correct?
that's right. That's correct. I will die on this hill. And I don't even have children, y'all. So that's why I speak out, and that's my only goal. They're still injecting babies with this poison, 6-month-old babies. We have to save them.
Yeah. And as I said, AstraZeneca is out of the business, and that is a good thing because that seems to be like the main players of the informational technology, which also happens to own AstraZeneca and so on. They are out of the business. They put it down. They said, "Oh, enough is enough. We are not going to do this anymore." We realize that we are in the spot where we have to, you know. So I have good confidence that the most powerful, and it's not the US even, it's not US, it's a Swedish family called Wallenbergs, the most powerful family inside the informational technology, the internet, the telecoms, and so on. They have probably long time ago realized this, and now they're just throwing the sub-oligarchs and the sub-oligarchs and their obedient, call them what you want. Usual idiots is the usual name for it. The BLM, the Antifa, and all of this bullshit under the bus. And believe me when I say that BLM, Antifa, all of this Soros bullshit is coming from a very sharp country. I'm just quoting Trump here. A very sharp country. And believe me when I say that the first thing Trump did in his first campaign was to hit on the Ericsson company. And that is the company. And Ericsson is just it's the crown jewel, but it's, because it controls the information technology. And as you see in the headline of this space, it says Crypto AG. You could easily spell Crypto AG to Ericsson, and that will be explained. If you want to ask the questions, if you want to go ahead with this. So it is not really complicated. It's hidden because it's, going between the continents, forth and back, and so on. Switzerland, the Vatican, Sweden, Washington DC, all in a confusional pot of nefarious actions. But if somebody just like me, happens to have, just a little bit of information that should sort of, get you on the right track. I can be wrong sometimes about, time and dates and all of these nefarious people. But right now, back here in Mordor, everybody, I really mean it, everybody, right, left, the middle, whatever, they are going for the same thing. They are just screaming war. And by that said, everybody of those people in the sort of Swedish community of X and other, they hate me, and they do it unified because I'm telling the truth. And now when I'm taking all of this flack, like when you're over the target, you take the flak. They will fire. And it is amazing because we are hitting the target all of the time now. Especially when if you guys, US guys, you might have missed the news. So the largest military force of Europe is retracting from the NATO. And then the NATO is like the Baltic states and Germany and Sweden or whatever. It's not really that, they are retracting. So Turkey have said, we are going to join the BRICS. And the BRICS is going to release their new financial system in October, very timely for the election and so on. And I think they have done amazing work. You cannot know. I will leave it. I will leave it like this. You cannot know if this is, for me, it's a Hail Mary. I have done a couple of Hail Marys. I've almost died a couple of times, actually, but that's back in the day. So it's a Hail Mary because if the BRICS countries are true and sincere about what they are doing and not overtaken by the old guard oligarchy, the ones that created the Bretton Woods and the dollar and this unipolar system. It could be so. The likelihood of that is very slim. It doesn't seem like that. But it's still a Hail Mary. You don't really know. But what they are doing is that they are shooting down the oligarchy private issued dollar, and that's not going to survive October. That's the way it is. With that said,
John has his hand
John,
up, Mott.
please.
Hey, John.
Yeah, I'll just be brief and add on to what you're talking about with our children in the future, because a couple of years back when I got back on Twitter at the time, it was a complete chaos. There was no rhyme or reason, and it was just scream as loud as you can just to be heard, right? And a lot of what you're talking about, Mott, was going on at the time, and that shifted, right? And so the depth, more of the layers got brought out, more of the information, it started settling, right? The dust was settling. And so that's kind of like where we're at now. And none of the focus as far as anybody that we've communicated with has really changed at all whatsoever. The tactics or the ways of disseminating the information and getting it out in different pieces change, because we have to keep pushing it forward, right? And that's why I'm so appreciative of what you and everybody's doing, because we bridge that gap coming together, right? Like the space bridges that gap between the communication cutoff point. They've done it to the point to where states and neighboring countries in across the pond are having communication blocks and barriers, and certain parts of information are coming in and certain parts aren't. So ultimately what it comes down to is the future agenda, right? Because they started with the elderly because they had a lot of the knowledge, and go at them first, and then they went after the kids because they had to plan for the future sort of extinction point agenda, and they're not going to stop, right? Because
No, they're not going to stop. But John, please bear with me for a few seconds here. So if the agenda has been like that, the sub-oligarchs, not the real oligarchs, not the real, they will be the ones that will, let's say, sort of driving their agenda because they don't know anything else to do. That's like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden having their offices in the House of Sweden, Washington, D.C. And, I'm going to give you a snippet of information here that is going to be possibly a bit of mind-blowing. So the first honorable citizen of the US of A is, well, according to me, a very nefarious and, possibly one of the creators of the false flag of Pearl Harbor. He's called Winston Churchill. Have you heard about him? Probably. So he is willingly to get the Pearl Harbor, which killed quite a few people, just as, things that... And that is proven beyond any doubt if you want to look at the evidence of what really happened. So he is the first honorable citizen of the USA. The second honorable citizen of the USA is somebody that has been very promoted in movies. Obama loves him. He licks his ass. Soros also licks his ass. And that's Raoul Wallenberg. And guess what? A young Joe Biden is the one that pushes him in to be the second honorable citizen of the USA. You can't make that up. You can't make shit like that up. It's impossible. Brian, comments before we go to the Gladio.
Yeah, it's almost like it was by design. I was just gonna say, Mott, in closing, the nice thing about it is, the perseverance that, everybody's put in this whole time. We're gonna be the wall they run into, ultimately.
We are the wall. We are the people. We are... Brian, comments?
So Turkey is joining BRICS, you're saying. So I guess that's exactly what Donald Trump meant when he told General Flynn to get up off of his ass. It's time to go back to work. And now Turkey's joining BRICS, right?
That's the end of the NATO. For you guys, Brian, just informative. What do you think about Turkey's military power? Is that's the by far the strongest military power within the NATO alliance? By far. The other ones doesn't even add up to half of it, sort of.
I can agree with that. They also have partial representation with the Wagner group. So, yeah, they would by far be the strongest.
By far, it's not even.
If I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. The Reichstag actually wasn't the Wagner group. They condemned to criticize them to either show they what they were calling them Semitic or anti-Semitic. Which one was it? They accused them of something, and the Wagner group had to stand down. Yeah, of course.
Always. So the Wagner group is a private military organization. They made the famous, which will be famous later on. I will just talk to the to the audience here. They made the famous Putin Prigozhin. Prigozhin is the leader of the private military organization. They made the famous, when your kids will hear about this, not that it's at the events were described now, but later on, the famous Putin Prigozhin maneuver when Prigozhin moved towards Moscow to make a coup d'etat or whatever. It was all just a cover-up. It was just the Russians and Prigozhin playing what they're playing. And later on, Prigozhin actually, maybe, whatever, the planes inside Russia where he was flying, they went down and he was killed and everything. Possibly, maybe, but not really. So that maneuver made the whole change to the sort of the Ukrainians war with regards of the movements of troops and so on into Belarus and so on and so on and so forth. We will see that later on, but it will be a tactical maneuver that will be probably setting a new sort of standard for that. It's not the art of war by Sun Tzu, but it's pretty close to it. Perhaps, maybe.
Yes, I would agree. We could. There's a lot more to that, but that's another conversation entirely. Yes, you're right. And thank you so much for the mic. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying so far the content that's being provided to you, make sure that you like and share this with your friends. That way they may join also. And you can do that by visiting the purple pill down below. Right there in the purple pill, while you're at it, there's a comment section. You can let your voice be heard there also. You can ask questions and make whatever comments you want and socialize with each other there. Because of the profound information that might be shared here, please be informed to keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the space at all time. It may experience difficulties, glitches, lagging. You might just familiarize yourself with your device and be cautious about it at all times. Try not to stare directly at it. Make sure that you're not giving it your full undivided attention, just slightly off base, and everything should be smooth sailing from there. And thank you so much for joining us this evening.
And keep your hands and feet inside the space wagon, because the hands and feet might get hurt just as your feelings, because it can actually sometimes hurts a little bit about, the core feelings which the German school, the Prussian school has adopted into you. It is painful, but the space will not let you down. And please come up and ask any questions. So let's talk Gladio. Should we do that? John, should we get into it?
John, did we lose you? He might have stepped away, Mott. I'm sure it's fine.
No, my mic was stuck. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's do it, Matt. I'm ready. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
So, Gladio, I guess that many people of you have heard the word. It means nothing more, nothing less than the continuous cooperation of CIA and NATO. And NATO is, from the beginning, 15 countries, and the 16th country that nobody wants to talk about, that are supposed to be the neutral one. And that's Sweden. And that's a sort of official secret. And I would guess that if we have a Jumbotron, the secretary will pull up the information there. Thank you, secretary, for all of your information. You are a tremendous source of information. If you don't follow the secretary, please do. There is a long and ever post of reading and understanding, because we need to read, we need to understand, and we need to make our own minds up about this. So the 16th country of the NATO is the country that all NATO countries have to be adaptable to, because they have the technology. And that happens just to be this small, little, sharp country that Mr. President Trump have talked about several times. And he has also upfront attacked them in all of the occasions. He's talking about the deep state and, you know, for the masses to understand this. But in his uprunning to the presidential campaign, he goes for Ericsson. Boom, boom, boom. Even before he's elected president. And when he's elected president, he puts Ericsson under the DOJ. Or let's call it the Space Force, which happens to be a new military arm that have not existed. And the counter move from, let's call it the nefarious actors or the deep state or whatever you want to call them, is that they make a Netflix series that tries to debunk or to ridicule the Space Force.
Ridicule.
Ridicule. Thank you, Tish. Thank you. I'm you know, the language barrier. Ridicule. Sorry, I have a bad
No,
time
you're
pronouncing
good.
that.
You're good. Ridicule.
Thank you, Tish. Ridicule. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna learn that. First they ridicule you, and then they will. This is from Sun Tzu, actually. First they will ridicule you, then they will mock you, and then you will win. That's a Sun Tzu. That's from the Art of War. Suddenly it just popped there. It is amazing. So that is what they do. That's their normal, you know, modus operandi or whatever. Besides that, they actually started what is the core of the NATO and the Gladio operations. If you're familiar with Gladio operations, if you have listened to the Colonel Towner Watkins and so on and so forth. Yes,
Mr. Mott, just for clarification, would you say that that's the ridicule? The ridicule. Would you say that the ridicule first, and then there's a sudden pause and a wait. There's a wait time, and then there's the win. The ridicule. Wouldn't you say that that's the way that they find the intention? Would that be the best way to describe that? The reasoning behind that. They need to know, and they need answer, right?
Yeah. And then they mock you, and if they cannot succeed with that, they will go to lawfare. Believe me, If they will do that, ridicule you. I have a bad time. It is not a word that fits with the Mordorian language. They will ridicule you, and then they will mock you, and then they will go to lawfare, and then they will lose.
Right. Ridicule accusing, or ridicule.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Ridicule accusing, which is absolutely what it was. You know, when I began to think about this Gladio project, I'm writing a summary on some things about it, but you know, I thought about the radio, actually, Mr. Mott, to draw in a comparison here. The radio was for everyone, right? And everyone could tune into the different radio waves. But the Gladio was a very, very private transmission set alignment of itself, but it was the same. It was based on transmission, the radio, but they used a Gladio type of effect. It was a masking of a signal. Yeah, I think a Gladio.
Maybe through like a sign language of sorts, Brian. What do you say?
Right. There, through a type of signal manipulation, but it's embedded into it. So there would be the same way that they went through the series of Q for codes in every third or on a certain precept. Then this Gladio would be a solitary, not a solitary, but let's call it the most private wave, the most private line accessible, a Gladio. Yeah, sort of a ghoul, a ghost. The on the spectrum of a wave concerning the radio, as it would need a frequency and its own parameters. So, yeah, I see where they came with the name.
The back door, dear Brian, the back door to all intelligence service, all embassies, all military was
That's why they called it
included.
Gladio. The back door was actually the front door. You're
Yeah.
right.
They could listen to everybody, and it was just the Five Eyes countries, not even from the beginning. From the beginning, it was just Ericsson and NSA. From the beginning, at the pre-World War, the Second World War. And then they included the Five Eyes countries. That's the way it goes. So if you have the informational advantage, as they did have, which is, let me put it this way: I will not discredit Colonel Turner Watkins, because she is telling each and every of these, the Condor operations, all of these nefarious operations, which I am very aware of and I've read of. But the core of all of this is the ability to read everybody, including embassies, including military intelligence, whatever, who believes in that their crypto will not be listened into by anybody. They believe this because it's just like believing in the financial system. It's a belief. But Ericsson company is manufacturing this, and of course in the US the NSA people are manufacturing this, secret manufacturing places or whatever, but it's Ericsson technology, and the crypto AG is just a proxy for this. This is the main thing. We can run all of the history from 1892 when Mr. Boris Hegelin is born in Russia, or what was Russia then, which is Azerbaijan now, and so on and so forth. But it's maybe that is important, maybe it's not. You will get the full story in the Jumbotron by the secretary, or in the so he is designed from when he's born, actually, to run the big oligarchs' errands as a proxy with his family. And the Nobel family is, of course, by their connections, or actually his father is employed by the Nobel family, the Nobel Prize, as in the Merchant of Death Prize, or the caretakers of all of this nefarious business. So the uprunnings is there, and then this, the one that Boris is his name, is going to be the lead of this in the AG, the crypto AG. It has several different names, but it starts out like ASEA Cryptography Department, and ASEA is the one with the Nazi logo with the swastika that will switch on to be the Third Reich logo. So this is all. It is not really complicated. It's just a very few people involved in this. But Arvid Dam is very important because he's the brainiac on this crypto thing, and he works together with the young Boris, and Boris' father, which was working for the Nobel family in Baku, where he actually met Stalin a couple of times. The nefarious commie guy, or maybe he was. And anyways, so they are working together. They are forming this. And this young Boris, he goes from let's call it the ivory, the ivory, what's called ivory school, the Ivory University of Sweden. He goes to the Technical University of Sweden. Then he goes to the ASEA, Wallenberg ASEA Cryptography department. And then he goes to just visit for some kind of reason Standard Oil for a year or so, which is not visiting Standard Oil because he's visiting the NSA and forming a lifelong relationship with Mr. Friedman. So this is like, you can't not make shit. It's impossible to make shit like this up. So therefore, when we enter the Second World War, these guys, the NSA, the Cryptograph, the Ericsson, the Wallenbergs, they have the control over all the comms. And they will have so until the 1980s, when the lid is blown on this, in what will be the largest intelligence scandal ever. Because there's some guy who in Egypt, of all the places, that finds out this backdoor, and he blows the lid on this. And the CIA and the BND, which is the West German intelligence service, which of course have the good old Nazi Gehlen as their boss, will have to take the blame on this. Not Ericsson, not anybody else. The secret services have to take the blame, which is it is just a bad cover up. That's actually a couple of good books on this. So let's get to the hands. Tisha, sorry, being long-winded.
No, you're fine, Mr. Mott. Kelly, did you have a question?
Yeah, you just said Standard Oil, and so that puts everything that just all this government and military and military industrial complex and all of that shit, that just slaps all of it right into medicine, also into our medical records and our and research into medicine and health and wellness. It's kind of mind blowing. It's just kind of a statement, but I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're spot on. I mean, the thing of it is that you go back to the inception of allopathic medicine today. That's basically how the system is operating under. It's all petroleum based, right? And the oil push and the petro backing of it. It's the inception, right? It's the all encompassing way to do things, to have it funneled. That's why I brought up Saudi Arabia before the space started with Tish. It's so important to know how oil collects and combines more than just the physical things out of the earth. It's so much more. And I think, that's kind of an interesting point too, because I don't know that a lot of people are aware really of what, the intelligence agencies and what they call like cryptography and different, forms of communications, comms, whatever. Essentially, it's just a combination of numbers and letters, right? Organized in a certain sort of way through a learned pattern to communicate secretly. And it's all about secret communication. George Washington was the original. He's like the OG here, stateside, of the Secret Service in the intelligence sector of things. And, it was brought from Europe, right? So, it's nothing new. It's just got a different way of doing it, But if we can recognize certain patterns, I think it's helpful. We could really help ourselves going forward in the future.
Yeah,
God, and
we
now it just
need
popped in
to
my head
recognize that
that all applies into agriculture too. That's all
the
of our food and all of our
corporatism
livestock.
or the corporates are the one, Well, put it simply, if you have the ability to issue the money, which will cost you exactly nothing, you will also be able to control the intelligence service and the people. And if you can control the communications, the possibility to do intelligence work, you will be on top of that game. And it doesn't matter if you are a very, very small country, because if you can listen in to everybody and you have the informational advantage, you will be able to control the intelligence services. And there you go. There you have the Five Eyes. And this is why Mr. Trump is saying that it's a very, very small country, but it's very, very short. And they have been doing this for a long time. They foresaw it. They adapted. They killed Krieger. They did all of these things to get ahead of the game. And the US oligarchy understood this. They ditched the Rothschilds and all of these, other ones, and they just tugged along. And now we got Vanguard, BlackRock, and Investor. And Investor, nobody knows about, because it's like, it doesn't really matter, blah, 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 blah. No, the largest official owner of Vanguard, which is the ones that are putting sort of, 50% or more of the world's population under their thumb, is controlled largely by Investor officially. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. It's impossible to know. But officially, they have to, with the SEC 13C, they have to, what is called, honestly and accurately give their ownership in any company anywhere, because you are a foreign company according to the Foreign Act and so on. So this is a bit of where we are today. We can back it down and we can back it. Yep.
May I? Just a moment. There's another hand there. I'm going to toss it straight to the other hand, and you probably aren't paying attention. You might can't see it on your screen. That's fine. But listen, I don't think that there was a great big propaganda problem or a great big disinformation, misinformation scheme that actually went on. I think the biggest part of the problem that we had was the different brands of information that was being distributed. See, in the early 80s and late 80s, when my eldest brother went into service, when he came out of service, my dad, right before my grandfather died, when my brother came out of service, they all set us down. I learned about Minerva way back then. Me and my brothers talked about it, and many other people heard of it called something else. You get what I'm saying, Mark? So the way that they talked about it, you could have two people in the same room talking about the same thing, but they wouldn't even know that they were talking about the same thing, because they were talking about it in different ways. Exactly. So where some people heard of it as that, I heard about it as something else. I mean, my great aunt was the one that got the Dalai Lama out from where he was.
That fucker. Yeah. Oh, that's a fucker. Yeah.
That was my aunt. Yeah. Great aunt. But CIA is very, very deep.
Effective, because they have the informational advantage. The crypto AG is the core of the Gladio operations. It's also then the core by default then the NATO thing. And if you have paid attention, you will notice that the nation was the NATO was formed in 1947 with 15 countries. There was a 16th country that was unofficially there. That's Sweden. You will find this out if you Google it or whatever. And they somehow they are always involved in all of these activities. And this is a very, very small, tiny country. It's I mean, the population is less than New York. It is what it is, but I'm just telling you. So in 1949, the Swedish government signed the official agreement, which was not delivered or in any way communicated to the people of Sweden. Bilateral military arrangement with the US, with the UK, Norway, and some other country. It doesn't really matter. And later on, me being, I have been in the military, so, and my military colleagues will answer to this if you want to have any detailed questions or whatever. The way this works, and believe me, you will find this mind-blowing. So please grab a deep hold of let's say the handles of your chair, grab your pillow, grab whatever. NATO is not compatible to Sweden. Or was it that NATO is compatible to Sweden? NATO is compatible to Sweden. It's not Sweden that is compatible to NATO.
You're saying competitive? Wait a minute, are you...
Or comparative?
Not competitive.
Comparable.
What do you say? Compatible. No. Compatible. No. What do you call it? When you're gonna work inside the system, you have to be compatible. Sorry for my bad English.
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure out was the word you were saying. I was getting.
Yeah. Thank you.
So oil
sir.
and water.
Thank you.
Oil and water.
So that's how the tech goes, with the phones, the communication, the satellites, and so on. And that is hopefully overtaken by the new part of the new branch of the U.S. Army. They are at least telling us so every once in a while, just to keep the spirits up or whatever. But the guys who run the Second World War is from Sweden. End of story. Anybody.
It was in that time around 50, 52, 53, around there. That's when the company itself went back to, went from Stockholm to Switzerland, right?
Yeah. And the Bosch affair
took,
that was a severe hit. The U.S. government and the U.S. is always a stand up and straight up people when not corrupted.
I find it strange, not to stop you there, but hey, what happened there? In the early 50s, they moved the incorporated original company from Stockholm, moved its corporation to Switzerland, right? So now recently they've rolled over that private debt or whatever the public debt, and they've moved that bank again, didn't they?
Now we are on the Varbörs, and you are moving in on the Varbörs and the banking through the war. So that's the war boys, which you probably know from the Fed, I guess, I hope. That's the nefarious Warburg family. And in the 50s, we have a very significant moment in American history connecting to Sweden then, because we have the ABC, American Bosch Company, sort of trials, or we can call them whatever we want. And the SEB, the most nefarious bank of all times, believe me, from Sweden, heritage from the world's first central bank. It's the Wallenberg's bank. They are put under the blacklist of collaborating with the Nazis and so on by the good guys. You know, America is a big, big country. So the good guys are putting them under that. And then the Crown, Swedish and British, steps in and gets them off the hook, together with the nefarious Dulles brothers. The Dulles brothers are personal friends with the Wallenberg family, just as the Soros, aka Antifa, and all of this bullshit that will be. So they
Matt, can
get
I
off
add
the
something real
hook.
quick?
One of the brothers have to take the blame. You know, not going to be in the SEB anymore, but the other brother can keep on running it.
Mott, can you hear John? Mott, can you hear John?
Nope.
Hey, Matt,
Not right now. John, can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can you hear John? Can you hear Mott?
I can hear Matt. Can anybody else hear me?
I can.
I can hear you. I don't think Mott can hear you. Hey, and let's not skip GR8H. He had his hand up just in case to throw him in the mix, and y'all keep talking about it. But yeah, one of you might need to drop down. Somebody can't hear somebody.
Okay, Tish. Yep, let him know. We'll bring him back up.
I just sent Mott a new invite, and he should be right back. But John, were you adding something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a time frame too, because it actually tied into what Brian was saying. I'll wait till Mott comes in too, so he can probably chime in with this. But going back to kind of the mid to late 40s, 47, 48 time frame, that's pretty important. I mean, it ties into Switzerland with the intelligence sector as well as the banking. So,
well, until he gets back here, GR Grader, or however you want to be called. Do you want to jump in here?
Darling, you can call me Kelly.
Okay, hi Kelly. Hi. So jump in here if you want.
I feel terrible. I was late. I had a timer set and everything, but Twitter likes to tell me like my notifications the day after. But I saw a video recently by one of these investor guys who was talking about that BlackRock has like vanished, kind of like they. I didn't completely understand it because I'm not an investor, but he was showing like the top companies, and that a lot of BlackRock's holdings they no longer have the majority stakes in. They don't have the majority anymore, and it happened kind of overnight. So I didn't know if any of y'all knew about that and what that could mean. You know, and granted that's current. Also, I don't know how to get anything up into the bubble, but there's a book
Tish,
called
sound check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can hear you, Mott.
We got you, Mott.
Can you hear me, Mott?
John, please say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so I can.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No way.
John,
I'm dropping out again.
I'll drop.
Step down.
For the 5th time.
I don't think you can hear me either. Yeah, John, and I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna drop down and come back to Miss Tisha. Send me an invite. Also, tell Mott and explain to him. And
of course.
Yeah, Tisha, you may need to drop John down actually.
Yes, John. It just dropped, and
cool.
There he goes. Okay.
So there's this book that I was trying to get in the bubble, and it's called Hellstorm. It's actually the documentary and then the audiobook, and the history we have of World War II, being Americans, are the history written by us, the winners, and Hellstorm is the story written by the losers. And certainly there's some propaganda there, duh. But it's really shocking, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things that never really totally made sense until I saw it from the loser's vantage, and then I was like, that's why that happened, you know. So anyway, like I tried to send it to you, Tisha. If you could pop it up in the bubble, that'd be cool as heck. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just quickly before we toss it back over to Martin and make sure that he can hear me. Mark, can you hear me?
I heard Kelly speak a little bit there, but
Can you
Can you
hear
hear me?
Brian?
Okay, wait,
this
Mott,
is
do
fucked
you
up.
hear me?
Tish,
Mott, do you hear me?
we are not.
Can you hear Brian, Mott?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna drop down again, hopefully, and start a session again.
Mott, wait one
This
second,
is
please. Mott, can
ridiculous,
you hear
but
me?
it is what
Mott
it
can
is.
no, he
Hold
cannot
on,
hear
Mark.
you.
I
You
don't
can't
think
hear
you
me
can
either
hear
now,
Tisha.
huh? Damn.
Yeah, I don't think Tisha can. You can't hear Tisha. She's trying to talk to you, Mark. If you can't, Mark, can you hear me? Oh
No,
boy,
you know this means we're dead on the target because this happens every damn time.
it's messing with us big time.
Twixter's
It
free
is.
speech. Twixter's free speech. Said 10 times. Fuck. Pardon me.
Well, listen, just so you all know, while we're trying to get this straightened out, and while we're rearranging the speaker panel, and we get this self-absorbed, and get it kind of corralled and back into the pen, and where we can begin to talk again. Let me just throw this out there. If we could all take back to mind and remember the kings of old, there was a currency method back then which a few of them agreed on. So if you look into the crypto AG things, it details that at one time this was a very, 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 very private and small algorithm, not an algorithm, but a frequency of rulers, very, very small few, that comprised all the wealth. And what they discovered, okay, after some of the wars and after some time, they discovered that the United States, through the CIA, had set up nearly by the time they called onto it, they had found out the Russian and Chinese government found out that the United States had set up over 100 countries with the same technology machine. Yeah. And, now they all were in on the take. Let's call it that. What the kings of old that used to tax the population for something, the way that they ruled that method spread out to everyone so that they could see those methods. And yeah, they literally just pulled it out. They can certainly not appreciate that. But the government, that, to give you an idea of what that looks like, can you imagine our government here in the United States pulling the Patriot Act and the Restrict Act at one time, all together, just pull the veil off of it and say, peekaboo, I see you. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what they did to the
That's
crypto
crazy, Brian.
guys. Yeah, whether they liked it or not, the CIA peeled the hat off of the crypto, and suddenly they discovered that it was in all countries, even their closest allies. And, so that's in the bindings. It's kind of an ill-mannered read, but yeah, we can talk
It's called
about
the
that.
bindings. The bindings.
No, in the crypto AG, in the bindings of it, meaning in the details.
Oh, okay. Gotcha,
Right. When I say meaning, that means in the most intimate details, you'll find that they were just pissed that now every country could see and know and use that currency line, that whatever, that they now had access to it. And yeah, they were pissed about that and they didn't like it. And yeah, here we are
That
now.
played with Pegasus brand, right?
Right. There was quite a few programs in there. like I said, like Mont was saying, we can talk about it. We can give you a quick rundown of it, or we can, what we really don't want to do is get down into the ugly, dirty dog of it. Like I told him before, we could run timelines. I kind of like the timeline that he's running. It's very, very fruitful and very forward, and it sounds peachy keen, wonderful in the way that he's telling it, that they made it look so grand of a scheme. But no, there was a lot more into the details, whether people know it or not, and how dirty it got getting it done. But yeah, it cost a lot of lives and a lot of people, a lot of secret dealings. But yeah, the very, very few couple small the bindings actually say that they did not know who the owners were of that, let's call it an algorithm, that sort of currency, that frequency, okay, that channel, let's call it a channel. The very few powerful ones that were on that channel, they did not know who they were. They were unknown. But by the time they caught the United States had delivered the technology to up to 100, 120 countries, and it's still growing. And they can't stop it. They just peeled the mask off of it, like what the United States is doing to us. If that can give you an idea of what happened, what they've done to us over the past 40 years with these measures is what they've done to them overnight. By the wars. And Mott, can you explain that, or is he back yet? Or
Yes, Mott, can you hear us? Testing.
Shows the speaker open. Mott, can you hear? Tish, real quick too.
Sure.
So I'm doing a quick, and this is why it's so important. They're just trying to suppress info, and they do it through bots. If you look at, I've been cleaning mine and just kind of taking a look at yours because you're the host, and that affects the connections. The all part in the tab of your followers, just look at that. You got some honeys in there. You might want to get out of the pot.
Get some honeys out of the pot.
Yeah, just mute and block, and you just kind of scan a few of them. You got a bunch that popped up.
Mott, can you hear me?
No, he can't.
Okay, I'm gonna drop and bring him back up, and then I'll clean that out.
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Secretary. It is so good to hear your voice.
Hi, Ryan.
It would be nice if you talked with us a little bit.
I know. I'll be seen behind the wall, the space wall here.
Yes, I know they keep you under lock and key, and I'm so thankful too. I do enjoy getting to speak to you once in a while when you chime in, but I like the way that Mont does present it. Hopefully he'll get his mic straightened out and he can come on back in. But he presents it maybe a little bit better than I do. They don't like the way that I present it. It's a little bit more. I have a little bit stronger taste for reading material versus how Mott's writing it. And it's got to be read a certain way, I guess.
And I just throw shit out there. I'm like, yep. So this, and this, and this is why this is this. And I mean, it is crazy though when you look at it, Brian. I mean, the depth is disgusting. It's staggering, and it literally leads from a point of inception to like another shift, but the same thing, right? And it's like rug pull after rug pull after rug pull, and it's just unbelievable. Mott, are you back up? I see your speaker changed. Can you hear us?
Trying, Miss Tisha.
Can you hear us, Mr. Mott? Testing.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Mott, can you hear us now?
Hopefully.
Yay!
5. Yay! We got it. Yeah, this is the third unit of electronic devices, and this, whatever.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mott?
Can you hear John, Mott?
Yes.
All right,
clearly.
Brian, say something. Brian, say something real quick.
All right, you got me, Mark.
100%. Go ahead.
All right,
Oh,
good deal.
wonderful. We're back
All
in
right,
Brazil.
here we go. Back on the roll.
Yes, and that was a bit of a difficulty, but you know, they
You got
really
it.
don't
All right,
like
Mott,
me.
I just want to add 2 dates, 1947, 1948 as well.
Yeah,
So that was kind of like, you know, the CIA inception point of things also, because Brian, you were speaking to the banking end. Well, it does tie into Switzerland. Why? Because we have an intelligence sector over there in Lake Geneva, right?
OSS, the OSS, and who was heading that in the early beginnings? I would say that it should be possibly Mr. Arendals, perhaps, maybe.
Oh, I think he had a little part in it for sure.
Yeah. And he ended up in being the supervisor of the Kennedy investigation. Oh, that's just coincidental. Or maybe not. You know, the point where the deep state is really, really, I mean, the bankers, the Wallenbergs, the Warburgs, and all these fucking nefarious people, when they are pulling their powers to show that if you want to mess with us, this is the consequences. This is the point when they put Arendals in top of or in charge of or quality whatever in charge of the Kennedy investigation, because Kennedy kicked that fucker for good reasons out of, you know, and he still kept on running the CIA. So the CIA in your country, if you are in the US, it is the most nefarious organization ever. But it is dependent on the Swedish technology that provides them with the information and with the advantage of that. And so it has been from 1920 something, whatever, pick and choose. That's the way it is. And then we will get back to the 1776 and the Swedish kings that happened to, you know, help out a little bit with that. And then we go all the way full circle around again, and we will be ending up in where we are, where we all go. That is the point. We are one. We are the people. We are not the oligarchy. We are not the military. The military is dependent on that the people, we, are stepping up and doing our part in this, which means comply.
Just to throw it to the other hand there, and you know, you don't need any help, but just to kind of rapidly pace it along here, we can get to some really good discussion here. But since the unmasking of it, and the fallout, let's say, the spread of it, the ugly thing, and the rate they're trying to contain it, the problem that happened around Kennedy still lingers today. And it's a problem that, well, we're seeing it play itself out. And I think that they've just about rounded up all of the people that were, let's say, involved with the Kennedy's lines of who touched who and who knew what, and how the information got spread around, and how everybody got a hold of the keys, and how the technology got spread around all the countries, and the CIA just kind of threw the mask off of it. And, hello, here it is now. Here, let's deal with it. And, well, I know that they're absolutely pissed at our nefarious CIA for exposing everything and showing it to what it is. I know that. Yes, very, ugly thing, to be involved with. And only to find out that our worst fears of finding out that going in after it was the worst thing that we could do has absolutely codified and sealed that with BRICS. By going after it, it has absorbed everything now. And they knew that that's what it would do as soon as they opened it up. So, with the BRICS mounting up the way that it is, Maud, I think that based on what we've seen over the past 50 years, it's gearing up towards, with BRICS being turned loose the way that it is and rising up, they're going to now call for the defunding or the privatization of our military to shrink it, and our police state to shrink both. And that our people, they've already started the propaganda even here through spaces of pushing that what is it that they're calling it? The military backing for the BRICS is now the fair and equal international order. I've even heard it pitched in spaces some, or they're trying their legs out, with it, trying to get a good, get some practice in behind it, pitching the idea that the fair and equal international order, the fair and equal BRICS, will make everything right.
The military, Brian, the military industrial complex, meaning sort of the US slash NATO, will not be able to stand up against, let's call it 80% of the world's population and 77% of the world's GDP, because it as all, in a conventional way, a conventional war, which is impossible because we have expanded the world's population in just a few years, 8 years, with 4.5. 4.5. And that is a statistical abnormality that is out of the box.
Incredible. Yes.
It's incredible in just 8 years. And that is dependent on, simply, if you just narrow it down to that, that is two factors. And one factor is to supply the, let's call it the Ponzi scheme of the banks, central banks, and so forth. And also to one very, very simple thing. And that is a simple thing that I keep on talking about. Keep on pushing. So we
have two hands, Mott. Should
yes,
we take them now? Thank
we
you.
get that. We will get that. So yep. Sorry, I'm just gonna say fertilizer, because without the fertilizer, no expansion of the world population in that kind of growth that we have had since we adopted the social security numbers, when we got numbered instead of being human beings. We just got to be a number. And believe me or not, the first country that hit the numbering, which is like on the death camps or the work camps, whatever you want to call them, in the Third Reich project, designed by the same people, of course, from a little small country. I'm not going to say the name, but it is what it is. Let's go to the hands.
Thank you, sir. Gary? Gary, can you hear me?
Gary, you're up if you can hear.
Okay, let's go to Kelly. We'll send Gary a message.
Dang, that's just frustrating. Anyway, bear in mind, y'all, the whole fertilizer thing was exactly like the medicine thing. It was no different at all. It was the oil companies coming in and making a product that actually doesn't work as well as other things do, but shoving it down everybody's throat. Anyway, I found the little gig about BlackRock, and that there's a new stock exchange launching in Texas. It's backed by BlackRock and Citadel, and it's to attract companies with more business-friendly rules than those of the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq. And so that a bunch of companies have moved their business to Texas anyhow to avoid the woke politics. And BlackRock is involved with the Texas Stock Exchange. It's like not that's not a good thing at all, you know. And it is just like history repeating itself. They have no business controlling the stock market, you know. It's just craziness.
So Kelly, one thing that's important to know time frame wise also, and how that plays into now and what's going on, is what took place between 2007 and 2010. So we have the Fed and we have the stock market, right? Because two big events took place post 9/11. And this was after a stimulus was supposed to be put through to the people known as NACERA, which was never signed into law. So now we have a collapse and another bait and switch of shifting assets, shifting ownership. Okay, and that went through the Fed. That went through the Fed, and it went through ownership of the public-private partnership aspect. Okay, so when I say that, I mean it's all incorporated. So the private aspect of things is a joke because it's still private in the incorporated, which means it's still part of the public, if that makes sense. Because in order to truly be in your private, it's not in the commercialized world, right? And so what took place along with Google and other corporations, which is why today, if you search a patent, what pops up? WIPO, the World International Patent Office, right? Why is that? And what happened to the U.S. Patent Office, right? What is going on? Well, because they bought the Fed's debt, they bought the ownership interest of the companies now having full control, and kept in name by DBA, but ownership on the back end changed. And so now you have the patents, which now have derivative interest ownership by various principles, and it has a big part. Why?
John, quickly, the patents from IG Farben was run to Sweden. IG Farben is the most powerful as I ever did. Let me put it this way. You have the East India Company, then you have it morphed to the IG Farben. We can talk about central banking and what they did about that later on. But they had one runner who took care of this, and his name is Voldemar von Knieren. He is the grandfather of Olof Palme, the Swedish prime minister, that will be killed on the steps of the Gladio building, or the stay behind movement, whatever you want to call them. He will be killed, shot down in cold blood, just as Kennedy, on the stairs into the Gladio office building in Stockholm, Sweden. And he was running for the 46,000 patents of IG Farben into Sweden. IG Farben is by far, at that point in time, believe it or not, the most powerful industrial hegemony that keeps that they have already succumbed the world's industrial powers, including the US, with the American IG, the Swedish IG, and IG Farben. That's only the three ones. There's nobody else existing. Swedish, American, and IG Farben. So he's running all of those patents, and the Swedish law fair, which they are very, very skilled at, really, at it's a neutral country, like Switzerland, everything is nice, everybody's good, humanitarians, superpower, whatever. No, they are not. But they are very good at law fair. Look at Trump, what he got. They are really, really good at this, and that goes for patent law as well. And it's a very, very small country, but it will affect you as American citizen in your everyday life, and have done so since 1905, I would say, but or even since New Sweden 1776.
1860s.
Yeah.
1860s? Wow.
Yeah. You can choose any point in time. 1789 Supreme Court and the Royal High Court of Sweden formed at exactly the same principles at the same time with the same owners or whatever you would say. So they were already in on it. You know, that's why Delaware is what Delaware is. You know, Delaware was New Sweden, but they covered it up, you know, slightly back in the day. Oxenstierna, the brilliant mind, you know, behind the military industrial complex. Actually, so it's a one-person game. But
We have Gary back up for a question. He was dropped.
yes,
And
go ahead.
Gary.
I'm sorry, talking too long.
No, you're good. Gary, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you.
Basically, I wanted to bring up a company that a corporation that a lot of people I know in the States never even heard of, and that's called Bechtel, and it was one of the biggest companies in the world.
Gary, you're breaking up a little muffled. Could you possibly speak into the mic a little more and repeat the state you're speaking of?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay.
Perfect.
Much
All
better.
right. I was talking about a company called Bechtel, which was one of the biggest corporations in the world for back in the 70s. But it was very corrupt and basically run by the CIA. And it I don't know whatever happened to them. I mean, I don't know what happened to all their assets and that sort. But you don't hear anything about them anymore.
And that was Bechtel, you said? Bechtel?
Correct. BCC Bechtel.
Thank you. Mott, are you familiar? Anybody?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the name of that company you said again. Tell me, friend.
Yes.
Bechtel.
Bechtel.
I've heard of that. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up. Please familiarize us. Tell us about it a little bit.
I'm not sure what I know that they were involved with the CIA and they were doing a lot of shit overseas, but I don't know exactly what they were doing.
What time frame, Gary?
I told you it was during the 70s.
Oh, the 70s? Okay, that makes sense.
Makes sense. We have to check them out. If you have a personal knowledge from people with insight and so on, let's talk about it. But since we are not totally familiar with it right
Just
now.
quickly, wait a minute. Just a moment. Can you hear me? This is interesting. This is good. Wait a minute. Let me turn off, get from behind this.
Google it.
Where I can talk clearly here.
Google it.
Okay. No, I didn't Google it. No. Bechdel, as in Bechdel. That's what you said, sir. Bechdel.
Oh, Bechdel. I've heard about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if this is what he's considering and talking about, this is a company, but it wasn't just a company. These were the recruiters that went into the universities to recruit women for representation in Hollywood.
Oh.
Ouch.
That's like
Bechdel.
that's like Tucker Carlson #1, isn't it?
Ah,
Yes.
crisis actors. I love it.
Yes. Hang on. I'll grab you the file so that any of you can.
Yay! I'm getting it, sir. If it's okay with you, I hope that the secretary will put not the Tucker Carlson, the Swedish one that is now the Tucker Carlson, but there is a Tucker Carlson #1 that is a nefarious actor and possibly is connecting to what you are saying, and that's pretty interesting. Secretary, could you please get a Tucker Carlson up in the Amazon for the audience?
Yes. I'll fix.
Thank you. This is very interesting. This is when perspectives and cross tabulations is amazing.
This was a thing that was part of the women's propaganda movement when the women officially got their legs under them for their speech concerning women's rights, the civil rights movements, the women's movements that have went on. Basically, the rules now known as the Bechdel test first appeared in 1985 in Alison Bechdel's comic strip Dykes to Watch Out For.
Dykes.
This is a real thing.
Dykes.
Are you kidding? Is that real,
Yes.
Brian? Oh my goodness.
Yes, I've posted it. I'm going to put it up, but this was a big thing back then. Yes, and I had forgotten about it. I had heard about this years ago, and it hadn't been talked about. And so, thank you, Gary.
That is amazing, isn't it? So should we add on after that the commie thing in Hollywood, which is still running the Hollywood with Tucker Carlson #1, Oliver Carlson, as of Sweden. Yeah. One thing will lead to another. The one that can print the money will always succeed with what they want to do. That is how simple it is.
So, if I may, I'm putting a couple things together, just a mini 3-4 part post in a thread, and tying in kind of one of the things I'm going to go back to also, and the first stop Trump made in his presidency, why that's significant, and what that has to do with Gladio. So, first stop is May of 2017. Trump goes to Saudi Arabia. Massive significance for so many different reasons. A lot of nefarious stuff, a lot of money, a lot of drug activity, a lot of different things, right? But he does something, and it's interesting. There was a ceremony, and they called it the sword dance. And there was a lot of speculation at the beginning, and still some to this day. But I just want to tie something interesting, because the actual translation of Gladio is sword. So why is that significant? Well, today, once again, in about, 3 hours and 5 minutes, will officially be to the minute of the signing in 1974 of Saudi Arabia and our currency. How does that play in, right? Because after that, 25 years later, they renewed their agreement to conduct, right, in that international transactionary way, tying the FRNs, together, and then they renewed another 25 years later. We're at a point right now where they're not going to do that, and so that's significant because of a lot of things that are coming together right now, and our monetary system. So it's things to be aware of, not to be scared of, right? Because there's just things are moving and shifting, and it's just kind of good to look at. But once again, this does tie into going to the crypto end of things. How roads are leading to the ushering in of the CBDC. And there's going to be speculation, and there's going to be a lot of talks about BRICS. And let me tell you, this hoodwinking in any way, shape, and form, don't let it fool you, right? Because we have a corrupt group or entity trying to control a narrative. Don't allow them to, I guess is what I'm saying. Don't play into it. Don't play into the game. Think outside. The best way to be out of the box is to be out of the box. And that starts with us like getting our mind wrapped around, being limited, being controlled, having that thumb again, being controlled, getting funneled to a system of things where we have to, use this in order to obtain that. It's got to stop. And I really want to stress importance on that, because it doesn't matter necessarily what backs what. Okay, because at the end of the day, we all have a right, not because I gave you it or because I said so, it's because it is, to trade a cup of milk for a cup of sugar with your neighbor if you want. And if that's what it takes, we have to learn at what that looks like too. And that is the best way that we individually as people can, number one, start being more self-sufficient, self-reliant, but also kind of live more of that like honorable, off the system sort of life that we all want. So I just want to add those things because, talking about Gladio, all the things that are happening, there's literally a countdown clock that's ending, and it's just telling us things. So I just want to kind of highlight those. But as soon as I put these pieces together, I'll throw it up in the nest for everybody. Oh, and by the way, yeah, because Tish, your pill isn't working. If anybody wants to post anything, just go to Tish's page or any one of ours that reposted it, and just kind of throw it under the link for the space, and it'll just drop it underneath everything.
You
Yes.
you get plenty of good information there. This turned not out to be exactly what we wanted, but it's beautiful anyway. So, John, if I may, and please come up, grab a mic. The host and the co-host will give you one. I would like to describe what is the nefarious game that we are within, and we have a tremendous, and it's not uphill all the way, but we have a tremendous assignment to take care of as people, as human beings, or whatever, how we want to call it. So if we could imagine that we are in a box, and there are 32 chess games on each and every side of the box. And the nefarious actors, the real ones, are outside the box and just using the knife. They are holding the shaft of the knife. And if you imagine that you as a person, as an individual, just step out of the box and get, to the point where you can see them, at least see them holding a knife. You cannot do anything about it, but you are outside the box. And if there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, you can do the math, getting out of the box, then this person holding the shaft of the knife, controlling all of these 32 or even more chess games inside the box, they will get a whole lot of word. They will get pretty much, they will feel like, oh, fuck. And that is what is happening right now. They have lost the control and they are throwing their sub and sub oligarchs underneath the bus. The only question that will be remained is that, are we going to teach our children, our coming generations, because we are expendable, we will be able to give them the information so that they don't fuck up again. And don't believe in a fake monetary system, which is just a fake, you know, from the beginning. When enough young people have realized this, then the world will be quite different from where we are today. And that is what we have to do, according to me. And it will be good. It cannot be bad, actually. But we have to see it in long game. We have to play it in long game. And people like me, we are not going to play long game too long, because we will be silenced, at least. That's the main part of what the system is doing. But they have a problem nowadays, I think.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit. That problem they're fixing to have. I think we're all going to kind of have that problem. I don't know how this is going to go, ladies and gentlemen. None of us do. But let's talk about it a little bit, maybe a little quicker. John, you can jump in here too. Mott, please jump in here. I'm going to jump in here and say, with the measures that they've got right now at Trump, on Trump, okay, he's got 2 federal cases still going against him. If he should be elected, they go away. They're concerning an election, right? So that wouldn't be, that would just that would go away. But, and I say this is where we need to be very careful with what happens here, because if Trump is not elected, they also stand a chance of him possibly cooperating so great. You know, he's been working with them so well. He's handed them everything that they wanted. You know, they didn't have to raid Mar-a-Lago. They brought everything there to Mar-a-Lago, and he gave them everything that they want. You know, there was no hiccup or problem there. No. See, if he's not elected and they do press those 2 cases, those federal cases, with his indictment now of the 34, charges that he's been charged with, it would just be easy to, just like they've done several other business executives here recently, just kind of out them, consider that they can no longer practice business for an amount of years. And he would have to go private, go underground, private, in order to continue doing business. I've given this a lot of thought, and I think he has too, and I think they have too, and they would take the lead strongly, and this would not go good for the Christian population, or the poor, but we're going to see, because they said that if Donald Trump was elected, that they'd go to war. That's what they said, right?
He doesn't have to do anything but get elected to president. He attacked the Rubicon company in 2015 and 2016. He knows what he's doing, but Billy Bob.
So if he's elected, then the only way that they could allow him to do business.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Billy Bob and Betty Sue and the American public needs to just grasp that, and then it will be over. It's not without the civil war. Otherwise, the only option, if they don't grasp that, who's behind the so-called deep state or whatever that Trump is talking about, he has already given, he is like.
Well, let's just go ahead and imagine that he wins.
Yeah, he is very, he is not even.
Let's just imagine for a moment that he wins. Yeah. If he wins, doing practice and business from behind the White House again.
Win. He doesn't have to win. He just has to get behind him.
If he wins the presidency, another term, I think that he would go all in with BRICS,
Yeah.
And drive the people to accept it.
He is a friend.
I think is the plan.
Yeah, he's a friend of these guys because he knows that otherwise the other option is like a total war, nuclear war, and so on. So he's not going to go to that.
Well, at least we all better hope. You all better hope that Donald Trump wins and the soft hand of the corporate measure stays with us. You sure don't want it in their
the
hands.
soft hand of the corporatism should be gone. Just like Mussolini said, it should not be called a fascism or whatever. It should be called a corporatism.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We're watching the shifting.
He saw it.
The shifting.
He saw it clearly. He was he was one of the puppets, but he had a voice. That's the way it went back then. The people that have a voice right now, I would consider them let's go to the Baltics, to Kaja Kallas or any of these, that are screaming war, war, war. If you're a small country on the very edge of Russia and you're screaming war, 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 then you're fucking stupid. It's like insane. You're insane. For real, you're really insane. This is like this politics. That's the same as you have in your Congress or whatever. It's like fucking really stupid people that are in some kind of, whatever. That's not the ones that you want to rule you. But they.
May I? Just a minute, Tom. Just a minute, Mr. Mott. Mr. Mott, just a moment. Let me break down. Let me throw on the timeline here for us with us one time here. All right, let's step up a notch. And I'm going to fly through some history really quickly here concerning it, because things really began to heat up after the 50s, right? And coming into the 60s, of course, there was the Kennedy thing, and there was the Martin Luther King thing, and the Lyndon Baines Johnson thing, right, through the 60s. Right. So then we hit the 70s. Trump took over his father's corporation in 70 and 71 now. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In June 1970, the company known as Crypto AG, you know, this incorporate body.
Oh, I
The
think I
company,
know it. Yeah.
yeah. The company was brought in secret by the CIA and the West German intelligence service.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. It's fascinating, you know, the way that they rolled this piece of propaganda. I think you need to hear it. It's funny between me and Mark. This is a joke, you guys, but I'm going to do this earnestly just for you. But this was effectively the start of Operation Rubicon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, suddenly
yeah.
it just
So,
disappeared or appeared or started. It is.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
as it runs, but yeah, on there in the timeline, it's kind of me and Mark, we could read things together and laugh back and forth and wonder why they wrote it that way.
Brian,
Yeah,
with regards of the honorable William Oram that asked the single question: who told the cry? Who told the Viet Cong about Crypto AG, or who told the Cong about Crypto AG in 1986? Because he found out, after the war, the average killing age was 19, and or US soldiers and so on. So somebody was always having the decode to this. And that is the significant. That's the one nobody wants to talk about. Nobody will ever talk about. But I will push it until they simply, well, whatever. So I will push this. When William Odom in 1986, and William Odom is an honorable man, not one of the fucking, he called up the CIA and he said, I have one question. Who told the cry about the Crypto AG?
yeah, that was bad, wasn't it? Quick, come on, tell it.
That is really bad, because that's sort of the one that's, went the Vietnam so-called war or whatever to kill so many people. And there will be mothers, brothers, sisters, and everybody that will catch on to this and realize that their fucking government, your government, not mine, and mine is even worse. Believe me, mine is even worse. You are not even close. So, well, you are close enough, but you are not even close. So that will take the mothers, brothers, sisters of the average healing of 19 years old to rethink it one more time. And this is the most, I guess, political sensitive war that ever the United States have gone into. And besides that, Norwegian Scandinavian crews were pumping the torpedo boats to do it in the Bay of Tonkin Bluff. But anyways, let's go ahead, move ahead. And for you modest brothers and sisters out there, this is far from over. And the average age of dying in Vietnam in 19 is the same as the Swedish has died in many wars. But we are not complying to the narrative, and I hope that you are not doing the same. You just have to stand up. I'm done.
Well, the reason why I had thrown it out there to draw in comparison of timelines, the reason why, Maud, is because the same timeline that paragraph 175 draws down on is 1994, when the SEC, what's Reddit now, the founder of Reddit and the framer, the builder, with Trump's technology, of course, I think, built and framed. What we saw is the changes and the restructuring of the SEC. If I'm not wrong, it was in 1994, Crypto AG bought InfoGuard AG, a company providing encryption solutions to banks. Right? That happened. Yeah.
Now you're over my head, but yes, go ahead.
Yes, that's the thing that happened. See, everybody didn't pay attention to that. We can tell the story cleanly, but let me just go ahead and tell you that. And from that moment on, in 2010, Crypto AG sold GV LLC, a Wyoming company providing encryption and interception solutions for communications. Okay, in 2018, Crypto AG was liquidated and its assets and intellectual property sold to two new companies. Right. Psi1 was created for Swiss domestic sales, while Crypto International AG was founded in 2018 by Swedish entrepreneurs Andreas Linde, who acquired the brand name International Distribution Network.
That's just to cover up, That's just to cover up.
Right. In 2020, it was established following a parliamentary investigation that the Swiss government and its intelligence services were aware of the spying activities of Swiss-based crypto for many years and had benefited from the U.S.-led spying. Now, this is not my right. This is their right. It's incredible. I can laugh about so many things that's been so spitefully misstrued in so many ways, even from both sides. Wouldn't you agree?
Should I clarify? So these guys, this is Ericsson manufactured machines from the get-go. Mr. Boris Hagelin and his family, it's just a proxy for the Ericsson company. And the Ericsson company is the Wallenbergs. And the Wallenbergs are the friendly people of the Warburgs, the Dulls, and so forth and so forth. You can just name anybody and they are under their thumb, so to speak. So, and they also hold the technology. What happens in reality is when crypto, this is not before Crypto AG is formed, okay, within the Hagelin family and the Nobel family. This Nobel that is pretty much, well, not so noble, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Or it doesn't, it will really matter when we get into the serious discussions. But anyway, so
Peter has his hand up. I'm sorry to disturb you.
That's correct. That's correct, ma'am. I'm gonna try to be a little bit stimulating, so some of you guys don't follow. Hi, Brian. Hi, Tisha.
It's
Hi,
good to hear from you, my friend.
Yeah, you too.
Hello, Peter.
It's great. Hi, everybody. John, and see a lot of people here that are what I call underdogs and are fighting. But anyway, it's really good to see you. I want to ask you guys what you think about my question to Chat GPT. I thought about this question to Chat GPT. How important is cryptography to national security? And why I ask that question is because some people don't. We have to look at the foundations or the what can be the keystones to a lot of stuff in priority order. So, and I posted that also. But I'd like to know what you guys think about this question. How important is cryptography to national security? And I can also tell you what the Chat GPT has answered, but it's pretty long answer with 8 points, but an overall answer.
Of course, it's a long answer. It's crypto.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. Uh,
Any bullet points on what it says?
yeah. Bullet points are protecting communication, data protection, secure transactions, authentic and integrity, and cyber defense, critical infrastructure protection, intelligence gathering, regulatory compliance and standards, and overall, the robust application of cryptography is foundational to safeguarding a nation's security. Interest in the digital age, preventing espionage, protecting infrastructure, and ensuring the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of critical information. I don't normally use.
And you will end up with the kings of cyber war, which are the kings of cyber war that Mr. Snowden actually pointed out when he was doing his thing. And the US is just the second player on that field. Even how big and great and enormous landmass, you will not be able to get out of that. And that was settled by some planes crashing into some buildings, and then it was. And some people are really trying to, prevent you guys from being, yeah. So please listen to Peter. Please listen to Michael Ray Corey, the Ericsson report, and you will, as individual and so on, be well informed enough to form your own opinion about what is happening.
So, Peter, can I ask you?
Of
just
course.
quickly, based on the answer that it gave you,
Yeah.
would it be fair to say that, well, what I'm gathering from it, from the answer and thinking about it a little bit, okay? Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
The best way. Just a minute. I'm. It's not just that I'm trying to work this out, but
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars. It's going to take some time. It almost shows. When the battle. My answer to the the GPT. Okay, the answer to it there. Would it be
Brian,
just a moment?
Brian, your mind will be blown when the secretary put up the article of the Swedish kings of cyber war, which will be put in the Jumbotron, I guess, and in
I
the
mean, does
purple
it
pill.
suggest an empire? Out of what you read from its answer, Peter, does it suggest a return to the empire?
Wait. Return to the empire. Let's see.
Oh, that empire! I think I know that
Think about
empire
it.
quite good. We are.
Now think about it.
Could it be the empire question? Could be in the bullet point cyber defense or critical infrastructure?
I think what it's pointing to is an eventual empire. Read that answer again and tell me if you gain the thoughts of a structural empire emerging.
No.
I see a beast emerging. As an empire. Yeah.
I could agree to that, Brian. You could see the beast
what it would show,
emerging.
what it would represent if Star Wars, like the movie, would be in any way real, then that means that we cooperated to a certain extent to get the technology far enough to where we could use it in some type of way. I mean, how else would the rebels gain enough parts to have their own ships? And, well, I guess they had to play along long enough to get it built, to get the job done. That was what the Nazis were all about. Even if it requires using your enemy, get the work done. We'll worry about writing the story later, right?
Yes.
That was their whole method.
Yes.
Do the work now and don't worry about the rest of it. That was the empire's method.
But you will be always reliable on the technology, And right now, the technology is not on,
We have a few hands, Mr. Mott.
Let's go to that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Earth?
It's Hummingbird.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi.
Sir. Hummingbird. Hi.
Yeah, I heard. My name is Sir.
Hummingbird.
Hi.
Hummingbird.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hummingbird. Well, thank you. Nice group discussion here.
You're rubber banding a little bit.
Okay. Is it better?
Actually, yes, it is. We'll let you know if it rubber bands.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting discussion about cryptography. I am into programming, so I know a little about the mathematics as a hobby. I do robotics, lots of programming. Also, I'm taking some class on to be a data analyst. So I know a little about statistic and where I see.
It's always interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Where I see the cryptography going is that in the model, it will not tell you. It is based on it is bias, because when they train the AI model, it goes by that which is the more talked about.
Yeah.
It carries more weight.
We are talking about the historic. Please let me.
The history of the cryptography. Okay. Well, yeah, we can talk about. Oh, I understand. I just want to say how the GPT is talking about what is more popular in cryptographic history, because that carries more weight when they train the model. So where I want to go with this is that there is also a mathematic aspect. When you look in chemistry, there is a thing like hydrogen abstraction. And if you look at our DNA, It is the chemistry of life. It is also some sort of cryptographic message information in there. So I think where it's going, yeah, where it's going, like in the future, I think it will not necessarily be into objecting, but it will be more into system as we abstract more information into those models. They will develop some sort of insight, but it will be like information to abstract higher dimension. It will not be simply like cipher. It will be more complex into matrices of dimension with operators and mathematics. Well, that's what I wanted to add to the discussion.
Thank you for that. Scoldum, how are you?
I liked it.
Good. Yeah, that was very good. Scoldum, how are you, sir?
Good morning, everyone. How are we? Hello, everyone. It's like a little reunion here. How cool is that?
Yeah.
I was just watching video after video on quantum computers, and as a layperson, my understanding is that they are massive encryption makers and encryption breakers. And what role does a quantum computer have in this new AI and crypto world?
I think I want to add something too. I think just because, language obviously is known about, but in context, I mean, is it really talked about in the areas that it should be, right? So even going back to the GPT response, Peter, it's like, okay, well, what aren't they saying, right? That's my first question now. What aren't they saying, and whose security nationally is this, right? Because we now know that they're securing their best interest, right? They're securing their pocketbooks and their benefit. Is it really truly for the people anymore? And I think then, Scoldum, that kind of ties it in, right? Because at the end of the day, why do we do what we do without any forward thought into having a plan to fall back on, right? But cryptography is important, and language is important in all of this because it's a defense that we can use as a shield, knowing what to look for in the future. And if we aren't going to be aware of what we're facing, it's going to be, another round robin, another look here, not there, ball under the cup. It's called this, but it's in reality that, right? And it's always generally in the system of things. And I mean, everybody has a choice. I'm not saying don't buy things. And, I mean, I'm not being that doomsday sort of guy where it's like, yep, live off dirt and grubs and eat the bugs. No, screw that shit. But what I'm saying is, number one, we can use their tactics in the sense of, well, number one, I don't consent. I don't know who ever gave you. I never gave you the authority to do this, and I don't know why you think you could just control and change and manipulate however you want. Because some group of guys over there, it had nothing to do with me over here. It's like, okay, so why can't we? Why can't I take a rock and trade it to some guy who works at NASA for a moon rock, and then that guy trade it to somebody else for something else, right? I think that's where we need to start thinking a little bit more in the areas of safeguarding, right? We can look back to 1776, but we don't have to live like 1776, if that makes sense. But I think it has a big part, the crypto end of things. I think it's just another fanciful illusion of sorts, but also we can learn from it too. And actually, I'll put a link in, I think it's germatrix.org. It's good to look at. Okay, I'm not saying anything, but just learn from it. What are you seeing? Just remember, a letter has an equal number attachment. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, so on and so forth. So if that's the case, how does that play out in the things, right?
Well, Scoldrum, walk that back with me one more time. I want to hear you come at that again, and I I think I have a thought for you, my friend. And thanks for, what you had to say.
Awesome. So quantum computing isn't just, it's not the traditional computing that we think it is. In my understanding, it is it's in a big encryption. So I know Trump has a quantum computer named after him. Australia is building a quantum computer in Queensland. There's many others, and they run on sort of plates, so levels, and the more levels you put onto it, the more unstable it is. So people are trying to, so every level is another advancement on them. So my question was, what role does the quantum computer play in this system? Is it a massive encryption creator and also an encryption breaker? So just a big hacking machine, basically.
Yes, and data collector. Yeah. I agree with you, and in the same sense, I don't.
Yeah.
Is it
That's a
just
question. I'm a novice. I am so lay at this, so I need people to point out, create
the?
a picture for me.
Well, I think that the quantum idea is something that we came up with a long time ago. It's not new. Getting people into the process of thinking in that theory, in that line, draws this common theory into a lot better focus. So it's getting people to look at that, because most people don't even look at whether it's one of the biggest problems that we're having is they've made it so complicating. People don't want to get involved with that part of it, the complication of it. They want it simplified. That's why it became so easy for them to just, with the idea of step forward with your life, don't worry about Big Brother, and they're watching over everything, and they're generating all the data in a way. I don't think that it's just built around simple quantum, and I'm going to call it simple, the simple quantum computing. Okay. I think that they breached a gap along the 90s of galactica computing. Now I'll call it giga computing, like the gigafactories that Elon Musk wants to build. I think that they've actually went in a different direction than just quantum. Quantum would represent a box of 4 squared, a dimensional square. That you're still inside the box when you're thinking in quantum. I think they stepped out of that a long time ago. And we're peddling in things to get. I think they're still feeding us a sparse minimum just so that we can get the technology builds to a place where it can make sense. If that makes any sense. It won't make, if you bring an alien ship here, sir, something that there's no such thing as aliens, but if you suddenly made the most advanced alien ship, flying saucer that's all touch it even revolves off your thoughts. If you have no idea how to communicate with that vessel, then it's alien technology. So it has to be done in stages, and they know that. So what we see is the aliens things, that's just more advanced technology than what we're used to seeing. I think that they stepped out of the quantum field a long time ago. Whether we're saying that right or what, I don't know, but we're think about the difference in language here. As Mott would say, the verses 50,000 words versus 5,000 words vocabulary. Okay, that it is quite a step up in thinking and the level of technology and its use. That's why I'm not against it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's wild, the concepts of it. I just think that we're not quite ready for it. We needed a little bit more time with the pen and paper, earnest, not being mean to anyone. Our smartest people are on, you've heard that saying, we're only as strong as our weakest link. If our dumbest people aren't at least reading and writing, then we're not going to make it into the future. And we can't just scrape those people and say, forget about that. Right? We'll always have them. The Lord Jesus told us that. The poor you have always. I'm going to stop here because there's other hands, but the Lord Jesus said that the poor you have always. How we deal with them, I think, matters. I don't think just scraping them is the key, until we've got the teaching and the method of producing what it takes to see the future. We need to get that right first before we actually embark on it.
Brian,
Star Wars.
That's a amazing thing you just said, and I just want to add real quick, Peter, if that's cool.
Peter, is that cool?
Is that all right? I didn't want to jump in front of you if you had something to add in context. Okay, cool. So I saw a painting yesterday of it was a man on a bench in a parkway, right? And I think that's what a lot of art shows in different ways too. So if we think of just kind of leaving no man behind, and we're on a path together, just kind of hanging out on that bench and waiting for some of the slower walkers and runners to catch up. It's kind of on the good side of things, right? Now, how it's been used in a manipulative form it is involving pen and paper starting with, right? And that is such a key part of it, because alien is foreign, and here comes the language in the context, right? And so if alien is foreign, that means it's unknown to some, whomever that may be. In a world of ownership, when gods of their world, they try and control everything. It's a gobstopper, man. It's like the Tootsie Roll commercial. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Well, let's find out here, Scully, because I got to tell you, they sliced and diced our big beautiful Earth into a million different pieces in a million different ways, and they tried to own it all, man. And they call it this, and they tag it that, and like I said, that's the moon rock analogy I was giving. So that's where language really gets tricky, and it's okay to stop and just read what definitions are. It's important. I started doing that, and when I did, it was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Because we get so caught up, right? I don't know. It's just what I wanted to add. Sorry, Pete.
Oh, it's no problem. I was just also trying to research the right word. I cannot find really the right word for what I'm going to say, but it has to do a little bit with cross tabulation on synthesizing a lot of different areas, and usually, yeah, we're separated by different fields of science and so on. And it needs to be some of it needs to be integrated and taken so we can get the macro.
Call it overlap. The bubbles of overlap.
Yeah, overlap is a good word. Also,
multiple bubbles can overlap. Yeah,
exactly, where they overlap and connect. Right. I was thinking about this, since the crypto AG is like. If we just look at the history of Ericsson, it becomes so significant, and if you had already, since that machine was made from Ericsson stuff from the beginning, and they had backdoors, it means that this crypto machines was only cryptos to all the foreign guys, but the neutral guys could look into everything all the time. And could maybe sell information to both sides, like selling guns, but selling information about weapons or delivering this or that. And what this is just, I'm just guessing and estimating of the things I heard on Twitter and from Mott and all of you guys. But the thing I'm thinking about is that's like should be one of the biggest scandals. You owned almost
in 180 countries, you own the telecommunication structures, and that means also that you have all the that you're the gatekeeper of it, because it's just like the electricity. Everybody knows if you don't pay your bills and electricity, suddenly they can just know where your house is at, and they just take it down. So
Pete, can I stop you right? Can I stop you right there real quick?
course.
Because that's such a great point. Because, like Brian said, it's the layers of overlap. So if that power company doesn't actually have any sort of lawful authority to sell what is naturally abundant to people, but their services they could. Now, what are they going to do? They're going to attach their creation onto your building, known as a meter. And because you don't pay your service to them, they will cut that meter off. Right. And so this is the same game with layers and same thing with language. Right. So the prime example is, what does AG stand for? Because the whole point is it could mean anything, and they're going to fill in the blanks wherever they want.
Yeah, and do the same modus operandi as always, like telling parts of the truth and then coming with lies and hopes and mumbo jumbo labyrinths that that you can buy all.
Yep, while hiding behind plausible deniability.
Ah, thank God for you. It's great. That's super. Yeah. That's why it's so good with the spaces when we're interacting like this. So John just saved you 2 minutes, maybe, if I could get it down to that, or maybe more. Maybe 2 minutes is too little. So could be, yeah. That's why it's so great that we all cooperate and talk. It's like, yeah.
Or maybe, or just maybe, or just maybe the jumbotron and possibly the still, but especially the jumbotron will include everything that anybody needs to know.
So you mean that in the jumbotron,
informational? It's.
Can I help out a little bit? So you mean
I would say so.
It means that in the jumbotron, it's like everybody's Christmas list. What they wish for Christmas. Is that cool?
Yeah. For the next 2,000 years or something like that.
Oh, that's
so.
That's quite a list.
Guys, you in the US, you are in a republic. We have a quite different fight stake here because we are in a fake kingdom or whatever you want to call it. It is, and it's like the socialist fucking the socialist fucking heaven or
just like to jump in here
I'm
quickly.
not gonna say this. Brian, wait.
Yeah.
Give me a minute, please. Thank you, sir. So, I've been trying to do this for, to build the bridge between, and it's been working out quite well. But I'm getting tired, I'm getting worn out as a person, and now we're gonna together. We probably will get, gonna fight the big accounts, the influencers, the big influencers, and so on. So you guys will be obliged to help out in that, because otherwise it is quite an impossible task. actually, withdraws or the resistance, which will be, I have already achieved all of it. You guys have not decided. So, yeah, and you probably never will, which is quite okay. But, we need to step up game a little bit, and we need to help as many people out as possible. And therefore, we have to step up the game a little bit. Yes, a tiny little question, when you as an individual have to take some more personal responsibility to get it further out and further away. And yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more. I'm on my second, or actually third unit. John, please.
Hey, I wish I was there celebrating with you right now. We got a little more work to do. You're right, Matt. The thing I wanted to add also is that, we're over a big hump right now, and a lot of it will come tomorrow in a thought process. A lot of it has already happened in a thought process, right? But that's the thing. I'll apologize right away, and I try to do things differently and listen more, but then it's like we get caught up, and then I do things that I'm stumbling over my own feet, right? We all have those moments. And it's like if we would just take some time for ourselves, because a lot of us are doing proactive things, right? But there's a lot of noise out there, and I don't think the noise is ever going to stop, but it's important to focus on ourselves and take care of ourselves. And I can't stress that enough, because it's one thing to be there for somebody, but if we aren't even there for ourselves, it's like we got to set an example, but also be able to physically, mentally, spiritually be there for somebody too, right? And it's kind of the fishing pole versus a fish market. You can sell fish, right? But don't be selfish. So teach as you can in what you can if you're there to teach, but otherwise, just kind of do your part.
Here, here.
Well, as you know, we keep
Here.
getting to the parts right around John F. Kennedy and right on up through there, and then we start getting into conversation. But we're going to timeline it correctly, or different ways we can around the next few conversations about it. I imagine, I hope, but yeah, John F. Kennedy himself, even 2 weeks before he was assassinated, spoke the speech that stated, even if we have to hold our own parties accountable because the things that we're doing might not justify, there's no good that could come out of them that would justify the ends of the means of what they were doing. So, and but they got mad and shitty and pissy about that, and they pooped their pants a little bit, like the Joe Biden did, Mr. Poopy Pants. But thank you, Mott, for your time in this. I know and I realize it is late there, ladies and gentlemen. It is after midnight there in Sweden. It is late for them, close to 1 o'clock now. And I can't thank you enough, and I know it gets frustrating with me especially. We can have hard talks, and you're already worn out, tired by the time I get to you. I wish I could catch you fresh. I used to get you in the morning when you were at midday, when it was morning for me. But I like to catch you when you're fresh and ready to battle wits.
My dear sir, I'm going not tired by the Swedish, let's call it ignorant or willingly ignorant people, which is the kind of same people they have, it is willingly ignorant is the thing. Willingly ignorant. They want
Willingly ignorant. Yes.
Blissfully, let's be funny about it.
yeah,
Blissfully gullible.
oh,
Intentionally
yeah.
ignorant.
It's like the seagulls from Finding Nemo. Mine, 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 mine.
Finding Nemo, the good Lord fish.
Yeah, like Dory.
I like to say one thing. Today is so much information in the Jumbotron probably that you have to watch so you don't hit your head on it.
Oh, I see what you done there,
Yes,
Peter.
yes,
I
sir.
see what you done there. That was funny.
That was good. That was good. I like it. I like it. Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. Thank you guys. I appreciate you all so much in all the efforts.
I think we are just warming up on the Gladio NATO thing.
Exactly.
You know?
I'm just in the warm-up phase. I can fucking not even tie my own shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good that my mother is still alive. How else would I function?
I might,
Peter rarely talks, and when he does, it's like he's a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
I love
thank
it,
you.
Peter.
It's just natural when you're stupid.
this is this.
Shut up. No, what is that
Yes,
called?
Matt?
If that's not gaslighting, what would that be called, Peter?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I have some kind of a hat that I'm pulling stuff from, but I cannot see the hat. But anyway.
Matt, you're trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm just like this. I'm gonna go for the American IG, and the Swedish IG the next time, because this. Excuse me for my language, everybody. I'm not gonna be especially timid on this. These clowns that are maybe not wrong, but not telling the whole story. They the reason that they appeared is the reason that I am, and you can figure it out from there. And besides that, just hold your ground, and we will be doing the next Gladio. Since we have just started, we started a little bit. We've been soft, and everybody has been, swirling around and so on. We are not even halfway, but yeah, let's just take it from there. It's not more complicated than that.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah, and it's so much you cannot. It's going to take time to go through all of this.
it takes some.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
I would agree. I would agree. So, I don't want to interrupt, and I don't want to step on people. I just, it's nothing wrong. Everybody has been here today, has been on the point, almost at least, and you should not be, censoring everybody and so on. But we will get the hammer down and hammer down something about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. Thank you, Tish. Thank you, co-host, secretary, and others.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mott. You're the one who's you're the one who brings us all together. You know, you're the genius in the room, and we thank you so much for all the knowledge that you give us. Secretary, thank you so much for everything all the documents you give us and all the reading material. She sent me some videos. Boop, boop. Can't wait to watch them all. John, Brian, Skull, Peter, thank you. Seldom. Peter, thank you all for attending because history repeats itself. We need to be up on our history. And, you know, I know in the United States we have not been taught correctly. So I'm learning a world of knowledge through Mr. Mott. So I thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. And one thing I want to add too is going back to the quantum, Scully, if we all look at our every move, not to the point of scrutinization where we're frozen, right? But we're mindful of how our moves directly affect us, therefore affecting everything else. We're going to be more careful and we're going to be more mindful of not repeating history, whether it's our history or from people's past. So, we're going to be better people, and we're going to be, just more aligned with the way things are naturally supposed to be, as opposed to a nefarious agenda or one thing that we weren't aware of and, acted a certain way to. And really, it could be that simple. I think just, being more mindful of our moves ourselves, right? Which is where, Josie always said the self-care is important. Couldn't agree more with her. Thank you guys so much.
But yeah, cheers, guys. I'm so glad I woke up early to listen to this space. Cheers, Mark. I really appreciate you.
Yes, Mott. It's absolutely wonderful. And this is all in memory of our sweet Josie because, she was the one that, was pushing it, right? So that Americans can learn the real history. Thank you all for coming. We love you. We love you very much. And the same time next week. And once again, thanks to everyone on the panel. Mott, did you want to add anything? Are you good?
Absolutely not. Besides that, she is the catalytic. Remember that. You have to be a catalysator. And that's
yes, sir.
All of you people.
Poor Mott is so sleepy. This is what he does for us. You're like a rock star in my eyes. Really. Mott, you are a rock star in my eyes. All right, so Thursday, same time, and shall see you here. And Mott will bring us some more incredible knowledge. God bless y'all. I love you. Have a great day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Bye, Mott. I love you.